with respect, we don't have the order paper addendum. So I would like to draw your attention to that. We haven't seen it.
Honorable members, please, we are still in transition, so sometimes it can be an oversight, but it's there in the soft copies are there with you. It's just that we are used to hard copies, so sometimes we don't look at the system. So it's available, order paper addendum. We have one, but it's not numbered one. It's just order paper addendum. Then there's order paper addendum 2. So we'll start with the order paper addendum. Yes, please, Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. So we'll take item 1 on the order paper addendum.
So in the order of our business, it is preferable for us to start with item 3 before we come to presentation and first reading of bills and presentation of instruments. Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I whispered something in your ear that we would like our Chief Whip to make a statement before we take that agenda. Thank you.
Yes, you are right. You whispered to me that you have a short statement you want to make to draw our attention to something. So please, may I listen to the Minority Chief Whip?
Speaker, I'm grateful for your kind indulgence. Speaker, I say there's a lot of pain, Speaker, as we all do know, our 4th Republican Constitution is the most sustained constitution in our body politics and history as a country. So, Speaker, increasingly, electoral violence is increasingly... Wait. Wait, I want them to be quiet before. Electoral violence, Mr. Speaker, is increasingly rearing its ugly head in our fledgling democracy. Mr. Speaker, the recently rerun 19 polling stations at Ablekumanov is truly revealing.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, just a minute. Honorable members, the Minority Chief Whip is raising a very serious matter: election violence. I think it's a matter that we should take note of and devote a day to dilate on it, and at the end of the day take a position, because we need everybody to be on board. It takes away a lot of the shine of our democracy in this country. And so what he's talking about is serious matter. It's not something for us to just gloss over. But I want to plead with him, because I didn't know the statement was on this subject matter. because I myself have noted it, and my intention is for us to devote a day and enough time to take this matter through. It worries all of us, particularly you, the players, must be more worried than any other person, because the violence will be meted up to no other persons apart from you, the players. So it's something that we should take some time, and I want to urge the Minority Chief Whip to let us stop today, because we don't have time to do that. And our nation, in spite of what we're talking about today, are focused on hearing what the minister is going to tell us about the media review. Then we'll get enough time to handle your matter. Thank you so much.
Speaker, with respect, I will not on any day defy your authority. But Speaker, we have a lineup, a number of activities to back home our demands. And to the extent that these violence visited are not atoned, we cannot be part of the presentation of the media budget. And to that extent, Speaker, to that extent, we are exiting the parliament and cannot be part of this process.
Yes. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This side of the House definitely agrees that electoral violence is not something that any of us should countenance. We do agree that as a country, we should be committed to ostracizing any form of electoral violence. We agree with them. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, yesterday I attended the National Executive Committee of the National Democratic Congress on behalf of this side of the House. And the issue of electoral violence was discussed. And I attended a meeting of the National Executive Committee of the National Democratic Congress, and there was a clear commitment by the National Executive Committee to take steps to deal decisively with the issue.
Honorable Majority Leader, once I did not permit the statement to be made, I don't think it's proper for you to make comments on it. So what you've done is sufficient. Let's move on to business and do what is proper for today.
Yeah.
As I said, we have another day to discuss this matter.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I agree with you. Just one last
No,
sentence.
but it will not be fair that after I've stopped him,
Yes.
I allow you to make comments on it.
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, we couldn't stop them from walking out.
No.
We couldn't stop them from walking out.
Well,
and the whole nation has seen them walk
Whether
out.
it's fortunate or unfortunate, that's a different thing altogether. Let's go on with today's business.
That is so, Mr. Speaker.
Please.
Except that I will land.
There's no except. There's no except.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. So we will take item number 3 on the addendum order paper.
Yes, honorable members, before we do that, let me just acknowledge the presence of our august visitors from a number of our schools and other institutions. We have over 32 students from the Boma Senior High School, led by the headmaster of the school in the person of George Ampofo. The school is located in the Tano North constituency. Yes, they are up there to my right side at the public gallery. Please, you are welcome. And what just happened is what we call a walkout. It's part of the practice of democracies all over the world. When sometimes you disagree strongly with an issue, you walk out. After they finish with that item, you walk in and continue. When you boycott, you just don't attend at all. Then that one will be a boycott. But this one, they were present and they did a walkout. It doesn't prevent business from going on. Once you have the quorum to transact business, you have to go on. If you have the numbers to take a decision, you proceed with that. Okay. So please, you are warmly welcome. And even though you have been welcome with your MP welcome you, so please, you may resume your seat. It's an experience. I'm sure you never forget of it. Yes, we have 41 students also from Sewa Kese Girls Senior High School, also from Tano North. They are led by the head mistress of the school, in the person of Margaret Anane Ajay. They are also to my right, you know, and one common thing about them, they are beautifully attired. You know, both institutions, they are well dressed. I hope you get time, even though he walked out, to take a picture with him. Please, you are welcome. You may resume your seats. We have students from the University Practice Senior High School, led by the teacher, Mr. Andrews Amo Smith. The school is located at the Cape Coast North constituency, and there are 36. 36 of them are here. You are warmly welcome. Kindly resume your seat. You are lucky your MP didn't walk out. We have also from the Jamase Pentecost Child Development Center. There are 55 in number, and they are led by the director of the center in the person of Magdalene Kobla. This center is located in the Afija-Sechere East constituency. 55 of them are here. I, in the absence of your MP, welcome you to the House. But as I advised, please, it's a good opportunity to have a shot with the MP. I'm sure he'll be waiting outside for you. Honorable members, you may resume your seats. We also have the presence of a number of visitors from the Kona Presby Child Development Center. They are led by the director of the center in the person of Peter Kwache. There are 56 in number, and that is also from Afija-Sechere East constituency. It's a good day for you because you will never forget about this day. That you came, you saw, and the House has warmly welcomed you, and particularly they are dressed in a branded uniform with some designs, very unique designs. Please, you are most welcome. Resume your seats. And the last is 12 gentlemen and ladies from the MDAs and CSOs on basic parliamentary training. Are you hearing the name? MDAs and CSOs on basic parliamentary training. They are led by the team leader, Mohammed Mutari Al-Hassan. Please don't train them on this, what happened today. There are 12 in number, and because of the nature of the institute, they are not specified where it is located, which meant that it's made out of a collection of many people from all over the country, MDAs and CSOs all over the country, and they participate in basic parliamentary training, and this is being handled by the Parliamentary Training Institute, which is located and created here by Parliament itself. So that's what we're doing, giving them basic parliamentary training. But definitely they will explain what has happened to you. You are warmly welcome. You may resume your seats. Yes, honorable members, we now move on to item 3, motion. Minister for Finance. Majority Leader, you may usher in the Minister for Finance to move the motion. Yes, Minister, motion number 3. that this Honorable House approves the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2025 financial year. Minister for Finance. Honorable members, please, I'm watching all of you. Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, before I proceed with the media review, I would like to pay a tribute to the former President, Professor John Evans Atta Mills, whose unfortunate demise occurred on this very day, 24th of July, 13 years ago. Mr. Speaker, may his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House approves the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2025 financial year. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm back to the House today with deep sense of duty and optimism to present the mid-year fiscal policy review of the 2025 budget statement and economic policy of government on behalf of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, this presentation is in line with Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully request the entire mid-year fiscal policy review to be captured in a Hansard while I present the highlight. Mr. Speaker, this review is more than a fiscal update. It is an account of what we inherited and the positive results of our stewardship in the last 198 days. Mr. Speaker, following his re-election with an overwhelming mandate, President John Mahama inherited an economy in deep distress, far worse than what we had imagined. The economy was marked by large imbalance with huge MDA arrests, massive debt, weakened institutions, and heightened public anxiety. Since 2023, the debt in the cocoa and energy sector had in particular posed significant fiscal risk to the Ghanaian economy. The Ghanaian private sector and the business community looked on in despair. Public trust was completely eroded. The national spirit was broken, and the foundation of our economy had sunk even deeper. Mr. Speaker, the budget deficit had ballooned because of reckless commitment and wasteful spending. The indebtedness of the government had culminated into state insolvency. The impaired balance sheet paralyzed almost every single state enterprise. High cost of living and inflation impoverished large segments of the population, eroding the real value of their income and savings. Right Honorable Speaker, the mismanagement of our public finances by the previous administration led to a devastating haircut through the DDEP, which denied pensioners and middle class their lifetime savings, their livelihood, and in fact, their dignity. Mr. Speaker, Eurobond holders also suffered painful haircuts, severely affecting Ghanaian businesses and financial institutions. Soaring interest rates crowded out essential spending on education, health, and infrastructure. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ghana cedi depreciated against all major currencies to levels never seen before, making it the worst performing currency in the world. Public sector corruption reached an all-time peak. As President Mahama said, the whole of Ghana was indeed a crime scene. Mr. Speaker, investor confidence waned considerably, significantly reducing investment inflows. The public debt reached unsustainable levels. The unemployment situation worsened, which made it difficult for Ghanaians to find decent jobs. Many micro, small, and medium enterprises collapsed under the weight of economic mismanagement. Right Honorable Speaker, to compound all this, the country suffered credit rating downgrades by all three major credit rating agencies, placing Ghana firmly in default or junk territory, never seen in the history of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, to further illustrate the enormity of this economic burden, we inherited an IMF program which had derailed and completely gone off track, with key target missed, putting our economic recovery program in jeopardy. In the words of the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Mr. Boli, the quote, the program had deviated substantially from its target by close of 2024, unquote. Mr. Speaker, we also inherited weak commitment control systems and irresponsible spending, which left arrests of over 67 billion and contract commitment of about 194 billion Ghana cedis. Right, Honorable Speaker, we inherited a bleeding energy sector with annual financing shortfall in excess of $1.5 billion. We inherited a debt-riddled cocoa sector with liabilities of 32 billion Ghana cedis, a weak financial sector with significant non-performing loans despite pumping over 30 billion Ghana cedis into the so-called financial sector cleanup. Right, Honorable Speaker, steep debt repayment harms were also inherited, where at the time, Mr. Speaker, we inherited repayment harms of 20 billion for the year 2026, 50.3 billion for the year 2027, and 45.8 billion for the year 2028, as well as significant short-term treasury bills maturities of about 137 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, we inherited depleted buffers needed to cushion the country from any fiscal or external shocks with empty sinking fund. And Mr. Speaker, we inherited stored projects, about 55 of them tied to bilateral debt restructuring, with about $3 billion in undisbursed loans. Mr. Speaker, the root of our 2022 economic crisis can be traced directly to an overbearing fiscal dominance, marked by reckless spending and corruption, compounded by poor leadership of the previous NPP administration. Mr. Speaker, the worsened fiscal situation spilled over into the monetary and external sector, causing a rapid depreciation of the Ghana cedis. The monetary financing by the central bank reached an all-time high, driving inflation to levels never seen in decades. Mr. Speaker, there was a complete lack of coordination between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana, signaling the highest level of incompetence in the management of our economy. Mr. Speaker, in the face of all this dire inheritance bequeathed by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration, the government of President John Dramani Mahama made a conscious decision not to make excuses, but to reset our country. We chose the path of structural reforms and transformation. We set out to reset our economy, restore good governance, and policy credibility. We renewed our social contract with the Ghanaian people and redefined national priorities by being deliberate in both our policy choices and approach to economic management. At the very onset, we organized the National Economic Dialogue and the National Education Forum. Mr. Speaker, we held direct engagement with key groups and stakeholders, including market women, trade unions, youth organizations, and traditional leaders. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that clear policy measures were outlined in the 2025 budget presented to this House in March this year. In our new economic model, Mr. Speaker, we tightened fiscal discipline without compromising social spending. Right, Honorable Speaker, the recent IMF Executive Board affirmed this new economic management model, noting that faced with large policy slippage and reform delays at end 2024, the new NDC administration had taken bold corrective actions to maintain the program on track. Right, Honorable Speaker, the IMF further noted that these corrective actions, combined with continuous structural reforms and an improved external sector, are expected to result in economic stability, resilience, and inclusive growth. Mr. Speaker, we streamlined and increased investment in education, health, agriculture, and infrastructure, as well as employment. In fulfillment of our major manifesto pledge, we established the Ghana Gold Board through Act 1140 to accumulate foreign exchange to support the stability of the Ghana cedi. We have restored coordination between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana to ensure a cohesive and integrated approach to economic policymaking across relevant institutions. Mr. Speaker, in less than 200 days, we have brought back clarity certainty, stability, and purpose to our economic policy direction. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have made significant progress. The signs of recovery are obvious, evident, noticeable, visible, tangible, and they are being felt. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's fiscal position has significantly improved. The primary balance on commitment basis posted a surplus of 11.1% of GDP at the end of June 2025, beating the ambitious 0.4% surplus target for the same period. Right, Honorable Speaker, the overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was 0.7% of GDP, outperforming the target of 1.8% at the end of June 2025. Mr. Speaker, inflation has reduced significantly from 23.8% at the end of December 2024 to 13.7% at the end of June 2025. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that this is the lowest since December 2021 and marks 6 months of continuous decline. Interest rates are declining with a drastic drop in Treasury bill rates. The 91-day Treasury bill rate has reduced from 27.73 in December 2024 to 14.73 in June 2025, a decline of over 1,300 basis points. Mr. Speaker, the 182-day T-bill rate has reduced from 28.43% in December 2024 to 15.34 in June 2025, a decline of another 1,300 basis points. Mr. Speaker, the 364-day T-bill rate has also reduced from 29.95 in December 2025 to 15.76 in June 2025, marking a decline of over 1,400 basis points. Gross international reserves has significantly improved, Mr. Speaker. The Bank of Ghana accumulated $11.12 billion, covering 4.8 months of import at the end of June 2025. And this compares to $8.98 billion, covering a 4 month of import as at end December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana cedi has demonstrated exceptional resilience and strength in recent months. At the end of June 2025, the Ghana cedi appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant reversal compared to the same period in 2024 when the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% respectively. Mr. Speaker, so far, we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciations in the year 2022, 2023, and 2024. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that it is the first time that this level of appreciation has been recorded in the 60 years history of the Ghana cedi. Rating agencies, which once classified our sovereign creditworthiness as junk, are beginning to upgrade our ratings. Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B- with a stable outlook from restricted default on the 17th of June 2025. The IMF program is back on track with the successful conclusion of the 4th review by the IMF Executive Board on the 7th of July 2025, which immediately triggered the disbursement of $367 million United States dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, beyond the numbers, this is a story of sound leadership, better economic management, and a restoration of hope to a nation once in despair. Let me, on behalf of the President John Mahama, sincerely thank the people of Ghana for their trust, patience, and continued support. We do not take your sacrifice for granted. Mr. Speaker, this government did not come to simply manage the decline. We came to reverse it and reset our country. The gains The gains of these first 6 months are just the beginning. Mr. Speaker, these early successes only encourages us to stay the focus, stay disciplined, and continue to do more for the people of Ghana. There is still a long road ahead, but our steps are now steadier. Our direction clearer, and the national spirit has been lifted with the gradual restoration of hope in our democracy. We have moved from promises to purpose, from ineptitude to action, and from distress to relief. Mr. Speaker, we have established policy credibility and restored credit worthiness. Right Honorable Speaker, the rest of my presentation will focus on 4 areas: macroeconomic performance for the first 6 months of 2025, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring, and the status of implementation of key government programs. Before I conclude, macroeconomic performance, Mr. Speaker, for January to June 2025. Mr. Speaker, the first half of 2025 has demonstrated our government commitment to economic recovery. Through prudent fiscal management, sound monetary policies, effective structural reforms, and strategic investment, we are laying a solid foundation for sustainable growth and shared prosperity. To put the assessment of the economy in the first half of 2025 in a proper perspective, it will be useful to restate the ambitious yet attainable macroeconomic target we set for ourselves for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, we set for ourselves an overall real GDP growth of at least 4%, non-oil real GDP growth of at least 4.8%, end-year inflation rate of at least 11.9%, primary balance on commitment basis at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP, and gross international reserves covering not less than 3 months of import cover. Right Honorable Speaker, I now take you to the real sector. Mr. Speaker, despite global economic uncertainties, Ghana's economy demonstrated robust growth. In the first half of 2025, the economy expanded by 5.3%, up from 4.9% in the same period of 2024, marking the highest first quarter growth since 2020. The agriculture sector led this growth with a remarkable 6.6% increase, about 3 times the growth in the first quarter of 2024. The agriculture sector growth contributed 26.4% of the overall first quarter growth. The fishing subsector grew the most at 16.4%. Mr. Speaker, the service sector constituting the largest share of the economy of 46.8% grew by 5.9% and contributed 47.9% to the overall first quarter growth, with information and communication technology leading the growth in the sector at 13.1%. Industry grew by 3.4% in the first quarter of 2025, contributing 20.6% to the overall first quarter growth. Manufacturing also posted an impressive growth of 6.6%. Right Honorable Speaker, non-oil GDP growth, the real sector, also picked up strongly, growing at 6.8% in the first quarter of 2025, compared to the growth rate of 4.3% in the same period in 2024. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, the non-oil GDP growth is the highest since 2018. It is expected that with the introduction of our 24-hour economic policy, the Big Push program, and the Agriculture for Economic Transformation program, the GDP growth will be sustained and possibly exceed the target of 4% for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to prices. Right Honorable Speaker, we pledge to pursue the following to reduce inflation. We pledge to implement aggressive fiscal consolidation drive aimed at reducing the fiscal deficit and borrowing. Mr. Speaker, we pledge to stabilize the exchange rate to reduce inflation on items that rely on the exchange rate for pricing, such as fuel, transportation, imported sugar, rice, and cooking oil. We pledge to implement policies that target items with large weight in the CPI basket, such as transportation and utilities, to reduce their prices. We also pledge to implement, through the Bank of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana to implement an appropriate monetary policy stance and use its liquidity management interventions to support the disinflation process. And finally, Mr. Speaker, we pledge to implement agriculture for economic transformation agenda to reduce food inflation. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive to know that these intentional policies announced in the 2025 budget to tame inflation are yielding massive results. Inflation pressures have eased significantly. The drastic fall in inflation is not by chance or sheer luck, but as a result of hard work and deliberate government policies. Mr. Speaker, consumer price inflation has reduced from 23.8% in December 2024 to 13.7% in June 2025. This represents a massive 10.1 percentage point decline. Similarly, producer price inflation saw a sharp decline from 26.1% in December 2024 to 5.9% in June 2025, representing a steep decline of 20.2 percentage points in just 6 months. So, Speaker, food inflation declined from 27.8% in December 2024 to 16.3% in June 2025, representing an encouraging 11.5 percentage point reduction. Non-food inflation also declined from 20.3% in December 2024 to 11.4% in June 2025, representing 8.9 percentage point reduction. Inflation for locally produced goods and services declined from 26.4% in December 2024 to 14% in June 2025. Right, Honorable Speaker, inflation for imported items decreased from 18% in December 2024 to 12.5% in June 2025. These improvements are reflective of the effective fiscal consolidation, tight monetary policy, strong central bank reserves, and the appreciation of the Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, with this trend, we are focused and determined to achieve our end December 2025 inflation target of 11.9% ahead of schedule. Mr. Speaker, let me assure this House and the people of Ghana that things can only get better in the coming days. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to interest rate movement. Interest rates have declined, reflecting improved macro conditions. Mr. Speaker, the 91-day Treasury bill rate has reduced by 13 percentage points from 27.7% in December 2024 to 14.7% in June 2025. Similar trends were observed in the 182 days and the 364 days bills. The 182-day Treasury bill rate decreased by 13.1 percentage points from 28.43 in December 2024 to 15.34 in June 2025. The 364 Treasury bill rate also declined by 14.19 percentage points from 29.95 in December 2025 to 15.76 in June 2025. The average lending rate decreased from 30.3% in December 2024 to 27% in June 2025. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Ghana reference rate fell from 29.31% in December 2024 to 24.0% in June 2025. So, Speaker, things can only get better. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have indeed saved 4.9 billion Ghana cedis on domestic interest payment as at end June 2025 due to our prudent debt management policy. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to fiscal performance. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal discipline has yielded the needed and remarkable results so far. We have delivered below target deficit on both cash and commitment basis. We have delivered a greater than anticipated primary surplus, the core fiscal anchor. We have delivered a strong expenditure and commitment control. We have delivered robust tax revenue performance. Mr. Speaker, provisional data shows that the primary balance on commitment basis, the fiscal anchor, as at end June 2025, recorded a surplus of 1.1% of GDP, surpassing the target surplus of 0.4% of GDP set for the same period. The overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was a deficit of 0.7% of GDP, better than the deficit target of 1.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, on cash basis, the overall balance recorded a deficit of 1.1% of GDP. This is significantly better than the projected deficit target of 2.4% of GDP. The primary balance on cash basis turned surplus at 0.7% of GDP against a projected deficit of 0.2% of GDP. The non-oil tax revenue, net, exceeded target by about 787 million Ghana cedis. Corporate income tax exceeded target by 555.3 million, representing 2.9% above target. Mineral royalties exceeded its target by 143 million. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, import duties fell short of target by 1.6 billion. Expenditures were contained at 109.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 7.8% of GDP. This was 14.3% below the program amount of 128 billion, or 9.1% of GDP, reflecting strong expenditure control. Mr. Speaker, primary expenditure on non-interest expenditure on commitment basis amounted to 84.3 billion, or 6.0% of GDP. This is an improvement of about 13.3 billion over the target of 97.5 billion, which is 7% of our GDP. Mr. Speaker, interest payment amounted to 25.4 billion, which is 1.8% of GDP. This is below the target of 30.5 billion, which is 2.2% of GDP. And this was mainly due to lower domestic interest payment. Domestic interest payment amounted to 21.6 billion against a target of 26.5 billion, representing a reduction of 4.9 billion Ghana cedis, mainly on account of lower than planned domestic borrowing and the decline in the T-bill rates. Mr. Speaker, external interest payment amounted to 3.8 billion Ghana cedis against a target of 4 billion, due mainly to the appreciation of the Ghana cedis. Other expenditure, mainly comprising energy sector levies, transfers and energy sector payment shortfalls, amounted to 11.4 billion Ghana cedis, or 8% of GDP. This was 12.7% below the target of 13.1, or 0.9% of GDP for the same period. Right Honorable Speaker, arrest clearance amounted to 4.8 billion Ghana cedis. It is important to know that there was no build-up in arrests payable during the period under review, signaling strong commitment control and fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, we are very different from our friends that decided to flee from this chamber. Mr. Speaker, the deficit was largely financed from domestic sources, with net domestic financing of 13.1 billion, well below the 18.7 billion target. The net foreign financing was 2.8 billion, mostly from the utilization of the 4.5 billion IMF disbursement. So, Speaker, between 1st of January to 6th of January, the IMF disbursement of 4.5 billion was spent before the Mahama administration took office just in 6 days. Mr. Speaker, project loan disbursement was 2.4 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, even though Ghana is relying on the domestic market for financing, we have borrowed less than we planned, signifying strong expenditure control and fiscal discipline. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a strong signal to the investor community and all stakeholders that the needed fiscal consolidation is happening here in Ghana, and it will be sustained. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana is back on the international scene. Mr. Speaker, exchange rate development. Right Honorable Speaker, government commitment to implement the following measures, committed to implement the following measures to stabilize the exchange rate. Mr. Speaker, we committed to establish the Ghana Gold Board to enhance the generation and accumulation of foreign exchange to support the stability of our currency. Mr. Speaker, we committed to pursue strong fiscal consolidation through the reduction in public sector spending and the fiscal deficit to reduce the pressures on the exchange rate. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana also committed to implement appropriate FX forward auction to support the stability of the cedi. And Mr. Speaker, finally, we committed that the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program will boost local production and reduce reliance on export. Right Honorable Speaker, let me state emphatically that these deliberate policies announced in the 2025 budget to stabilize the Ghana cedi are yielding massive results. The results we are witnessing are not by chance. They are the fruits of hard work, discipline, and intentional policies. Mr. Speaker, the cedi performance in the first half of the year 2025 has been impressive. The Ghana cedi experienced significant appreciation against all major trading currencies in the first 6 months of 2025. I'm happy to inform the House that our previous record, where the Ghana cedi used to trade against the US dollar at 17, is as at yesterday trading at 10.4. Mr. Speaker, similarly, the Ghana cedi, which was once trading at 21 cedis to the British pound, was trading at 14.1 as at yesterday, 23rd July 2025. Mr. Speaker, as at end June 2025, the cedi appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant improvement over the cedi depreciation of 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% against the US dollar, British pound, and the euro. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, so far, we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciation in 2022, 2023, and 2024. This level of appreciation has never happened in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, fellow citizens, Ghana cedi no apeke. Cedi no apeke. Mr. Speaker, these gains are largely due to strong fiscal consolidation, tight monetary policy, improved external sector balance, renewed investor confidence, positive market sentiment, credit rating upgrades, and successfully securing staff-level agreement and subsequently the board-level approval of the fourth review of the IMF program. Right Honorable Speaker, the cedi rebound signals that Ghana's economic foundations are once again beginning to firm up. Sustaining this stability will require continued fiscal discipline, supportive monetary policy, strong liquidity sterilization, robust reserve accumulation, supported by activities of the Ghana Gold Board, and credible implementation of structural reforms. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the external sector. Right Honorable Speaker, our external sector has shown remarkable improvement in the last 6 months. Gross international reserves reached $11.12 billion by June 2025, covering 4.8 months of imports, up from $8.98 billion in December 2024, equivalent to 4% 4 months of import cover. Mr. Speaker, in just 6 months, even before the IMF and World Bank disbursement, in fact, without external borrowing, we have added $2.14 billion to the country's gross international reserves. Right Honorable Speaker, trade surplus increased from $1.37 billion in June 2024 to $5.57 billion in June 2024, representing a whopping 306.6% increase just in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, this was driven by strong exports, particularly in gold, cocoa, and controlled imports. Mr. Speaker, the current account surplus improved significantly to a provisional $3.44 billion by June 2025 from $28.11 billion in June 2024. Provisional net capital and financial inflows reached $937.58 million in June 2025, indicating renewed investor confidence. Mr. Speaker, I take you to monetary and the financial sector development. Right Honorable Speaker, monetary indicators point to a sustained monetary expansion. Credit to the private sector increased by about 31.3% in June 2025. Reserve money growth moderated and M2 growth remained consistent, supported by increased deposit mobilization and improved net foreign asset. Net domestic asset growth slowed, while net foreign asset surged, indicating a shift in liquidity drivers towards external inflows. Right Honorable Speaker, I take you to the recapitalization of the National Investment Bank. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that I updated this House during the 2025 budget presentation on the restructuring and recapitalization of the National Investment Bank, our NIB, as one of the critical reforms in the financial sector that should have been delivered in 2024. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, after spending a whopping $30.3 billion in the so-called financial sector cleanup exercise, the previous NPP administration left NIB in dire straits, with a capital adequacy ratio of a negative 53.13% by end of June 2024. Mr. Speaker, we have successfully, Right Honorable Speaker, President Mahama and the NDC have successfully recapitalized the National Investment Bank by implementing an ambitious and credible plan to return NIB to profitability and sustainability. Mr. Speaker, we have taken the following steps. Right Honorable Speaker, we have injected a total cash of 450 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, we also issued marketable bonds with face value of 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to the National Investment Bank. Mr. Speaker, we transferred 500 million Government of Ghana shares in the Nestle Ghana Limited to the National Investment Bank. Right Honorable Speaker, these transfers have significantly improved the capital adequacy ratio from negative 53.13% at the end of December 2024 to a positive 23% in May 2025. Mr. Speaker, by taking these major steps, we have preserved depositors' fund valued at 6.4 billion Ghana cedis. We have also saved over 900 direct jobs at the National Investment Banks. Mr. Speaker, we have preserved an indigenous Ghanaian bank. But Mr. Speaker, let me state this. Unlike the previous administration, we chose to spend to save a bank than spend to collapse a bank. Right Honorable Speaker, we have also prepared a forward-looking, overarching restructuring plan for the National Investment Bank to put the bank on a sustainable path of profitability. The plan also aims to enhance board independence and objectivity, strengthen risk management, promote accountability and transparency, prevent insider dominance, and improve strategic decision-making. Mr. Speaker, this plan will, among others, strengthen corporate governance framework and systems, improve enterprise risk management and controls, establish a modern business model, revamp operational strategy, improve financial performance, institute and enhance supervisory measures, and eventually we will list the NIB on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Right Honorable Speaker, NIB now has a total paid up capital of 3.4 billion Ghana cedis and a capital adequacy ratio of 23%. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the President, I want to use this opportunity to assure the people of Ghana and depositors that our indigenous bank, the National Investment Bank, is now prime for business. More importantly, Mr. Speaker, NIB is back. NIB is now liquid. NIB is now safe. NIB is fully capitalized. Mr. Speaker, we therefore encourage all and sundry to do business with the revitalized National Investment Bank, NIB. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to credit ratings. credit ratings. Mr. Speaker, the progress we are making in our economic reforms and debt restructuring effort has been recognized internationally. On the 16th of June 2025, Fitch Rating upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B-, with the stable outlook from restricted default, the first time since 2021. Fitch cited significant exchange rate appreciation, declining debt levels, strong nominal GDP growth, increased reserve accumulation, and normalized relationship with external creditors as key drivers. Right Honorable Speaker, to sustain these gains, we will, among others, do the following. We'll maintain fiscal discipline through continued implementation of prudent policies to promote fiscal and debt sustainability. We will continue the aggressive revenue mobilization by strengthening tax collection systems and broadening the tax base to increase domestic revenue without overburdening the citizens. Mr. Speaker, we will accelerate structural reforms in public financial management, including transparency and accountability measures to improve efficiency and reduce corruption. Mr. Speaker, we will strengthen monetary policy framework, and the central bank will lead this to complement the effort that we are doing. Mr. Speaker, we will diversify the economy through investment in sectors beyond traditional export to reduce the vulnerability to commodity price shocks and continue to maintain strong relationship with our international financial institutions and development partners to support ongoing reforms and assess technical assistance. Mr. Speaker, it is expected that other rating agencies, namely S&P and Moody's, will follow suit, given the remarkable progress we are making in ensuring economic stability and promoting inclusive growth. Right Honorable Speaker, this is just the beginning. We are determined to do better than B-. Ghana indeed deserves better than B-. Right Honorable Speaker, I now take you to fiscal policies and give you an update. Mr. Speaker, I start with VAT reforms. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget statement, we reaffirmed our commitment to the people of Ghana and the business community to undertake comprehensive value-added tax reforms this year. These reforms are aimed at addressing the distortions and cascading effect inherent in the current VAT structure. To support this effort, we also committed to seeking technical assistance from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and engage the people of Ghana. So, Speaker, I'm pleased to report that we have successfully completed our engagement with the IMF. Currently, the Ghana Revenue Authority, together with the Ministry of Finance, is undertaking a nationwide consultation process to sensitize key players in the trade and business sector on the VAT reform and solicit feedback from them. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance hopes to complete this process by September 2025, prepare a new VAT bill by October 2025, and submit same to Parliament as part of the 2026 budget statement. Mr. Speaker, I would like to reassure the people of Ghana that at the minimum, the following will happen as part of the VAT Act. Amendment Bill. Mr. Speaker, COVID levy will be abolished. The effective VAT rate will be reduced. The punitive cascading effect of the GET Fund and NHIS levy will be removed. VAT flat rate will be removed. And a unified VAT rate will be implemented. The VAT registration threshold will be increased to exempt small and micro businesses, and compliance will be improved through public education, awareness creation, and the introduction of fiscal electronic devices will be deployed. So, Speaker, I now take you to expenditure measures as part of the fiscal. Right Honorable Speaker, as part of the fiscal consolidation strategy, we have taken measures to sanitize public sector payroll and rid it of ghost names. Subsequently, we engaged the Ghana Audit Service to undertake a nationwide payroll audit across all 16 regions of the country. The Speaker, the Audit Service has completed 91% of the payroll audit. So far, the Audit Service has not been able to identify or verify over 14,000 workers. Mr. Speaker, again, they have identified 53,311 separated staff on the payroll. Mr. Speaker, separated staffs are staff who are either on retirement, reassigned, terminated, or are on leave without pay or deceased and yet remain on government payroll. Mr. Speaker, the audit service expects to recover a minimum of 150.4 million of unearned salary from the separated staff over 2023 and 2024 period alone. Right Honorable Speaker, going forward, we will enforce the monthly payroll validation process and strictly apply sanctions to all who validate ghosts for payment of salaries. Mr. Speaker, let me use this opportunity to strongly caution those who validate ghosts across the public service that they will be personally liable for the loss of public fund. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat. Let me use this opportunity to strongly caution those who validate ghosts across the public service that they will be personally liable for the loss of public funds. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance will continue to monitor this payroll and put in place measures to prevent ghosts on the payroll going forward. Mr. Speaker, I now give you an update on the arrears payable audit that we did. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget, we announced the launch of an audit of arrears and payables as at end December 2024. The Ghana Audit Service partnered with EY and PwC to undertake this audit. Mr. Speaker, the audit service was tasked to audit and validate 68.7 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, 68.7 billion Ghana cedis. So far, Mr. Speaker, 87% of the audit has been completed. Results show so far are as follows. Mr. Speaker, a total of 28.3 billion Ghana cedis has been validated for payment. Mr. Speaker, 27.3 billion is pending validation as we speak. Right Honorable Speaker, an amount of 3.6 billion Ghana cedis has been rejected because of errors, duplication, and non-compliance with PFM and procurement rules. The Speaker, of this amount, 562.6 million is without adequate supporting document. So Speaker, the outcome of this audit will blow your mind. Blow your mind. So Speaker, the audit is expected to be completed by end of August 2025. Once finalized, we will update the House on the findings and outcomes. So Speaker, I now take you to update on the IMF program. Update on the IMF program. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana remains on track on the implementation of the IMF program. A staff level agreement was reached during the fourth review mission in April 2025, and we received executive board approval on the 7th of July 2025. This unlocked $367 million disbursement, bringing the total disbursement under this program to $2.3 billion. The fifth review, which is scheduled for September 2025, will be based on June 2025 data. As a Speaker, I'm comfortable that Ghana is on course to achieve most of the target for the fifth review. Prudent debt management and exchange rate has resulted in a significant improvement in Ghana's debt profile. Public debt reduced from 726.7 billion as at end December 2024 to 613 billion as at end June 2025. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt reduced by 113.7 billion Ghana cedis in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in Ghana's history, there is a negative 15.6% rate of debt accumulation. Right Honorable Speaker, Right, Honorable Speaker. Ghana's public debt to GDP ratio as at end June 2025 was 43.8% from the 61.8% of end December 2024. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt as a percentage of GDP reduced by 18% of GDP in the last 6 months. Ghana's foreign debt as a for swift action, which has enabled Ghana to begin negotiation for the signing of bilateral agreement with each of the creditor countries. We are ready to sign the agreement with 2 countries as at tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, it is expected that 4 agreements will be signed by close of tomorrow. First, we'll sign with France, and the second will sign with another country yet to be confirmed. Mr. Speaker, on the commercial debt restructuring, we have signed non-disclosure agreement, NDAs, with some commercial lenders, in line with the government's strong commitment to honoring its debt obligation. We have made 2 debt service payments of about $700 million to our Eurobond holders. Mr. Speaker, on the domestic front, government continues to meet its commitment towards the domestic bond holders. For the first half of 2025, a total of 9.8 billion Ghana cedis was paid to coupons to DDEP bondholders, of which 3.6 billion Ghana cedis was capitalized. Right, Honorable Speaker. For non-tendered bondholders, government paid a total of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis. This was the outstanding debt service as at 2024. Mr. Speaker, for the second half of 2025, an amount of 10.2 billion Ghana cedis is due as coupon payment on the DDEP bonds and 724.1 million as debt service for the non-tendered bondholders. It is important to note that government remains committed to honoring its debt service obligation, and therefore we have made sufficient preparation towards the settlement of this debt, and bondholders should not worry, this amount will be paid in due course. Mr. Speaker, priority project under the restructured bilateral debt. Following Ghana's default on its external debt service obligation on the 19th December 2022, creditors halted disbursement of 55 bilateral projects. This resulted in several uncompleted projects dotted across the country, with a massive $3 billion in undisbursed loans. The IMF and Official Creditors Committee annual disbursement ceiling of $250 million for official creditors loan implies that it will take 12 good years to fully draw down on the undisbursed loans. Under the MOU with the Official Creditors Committee, the government of Ghana was required to submit a priority list to accommodate the $250 million annual disbursement ceiling. Right, Honorable Speaker. During the presentation of the 2025 budget and economic policy of government, I informed this House that we will engage to resolve this challenge. Following the extensive engagement, government has submitted a priority list of 24 projects to the OCC and the IMF. This is expected to trigger resumption of disbursement for projects on the priority list upon the signing of bilateral agreement between Ghana and the creditor countries. We aim to ensure that all the priority projects are completed and commissioned by end 2028. Mr. Speaker, the priority projects are as follows. We are going to build a new bridge across the Volta River at Volivo. Mr. Speaker, the reconstruction of Tema Aflao Road project, phase 1. Tema Motorway Runabout through Ashiaman Runabout to Atimpoku. The construction of 14 pedestrian bridges, Kumasi roads and drainage extension. So Speaker, Power Grant Interchange and the Sekondi Takoradi Township Road, Phase 1. Rehabilitation of Dome Ketasi Road, Obichebi Lamte Interchange, Phase 2. Bogatanga Boko Pomakrom Road, PTC Runabout Interchange Project at Takoradi. Construction of drinking water facilities in Wenchi. Sekondi Takoradi Water Supply. Modernization of Komfo Anoche Teaching Hospital. Construction of central medical stores in Tema. Efia Nkwanta Regional Hospital in Takoradi. Bogatanga Regional Hospital. Establishment of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Bonsu. Establishment of 9 state-of-the-art technical and vocational education training center. And, Mr. Speaker, integrated e-learning laboratories in senior high schools. Mr. Speaker, that's not all. The expansion and development of existing senior high schools, renewable energy program, pilot photovoltaic system, Mr. Speaker, the renewable energy and energy efficiency program, and the construction of Takoradi Market. Mr. Speaker, finally, the Kumasi Central Market, Phase 2. Mr. Speaker, the main criterion for the selection of this project was closeness to completion. As a result, projects which were over 70% complete were given priority. The resumption of disbursement for the project and its associated debt service are fully in line with our commitment under the bilateral debt restructuring and IMF program. Right Honorable Speaker, there's no room for an increase in scope for any of the projects on the priority list as agreed upon at the IMF and the OCC. Implementing agencies must take note and comply accordingly. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, there is no room for any increase in scope for work for any of the projects on the priority list agreed upon with the IMF and the Official Creditors Committee. Implementing agencies must take note and comply accordingly. Mr. Speaker, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 stalled projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Mr. Speaker, sadly, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Again, some contractors have submitted additional costs in excess of what Parliament approved. The Ministry of Finance has accordingly commissioned a forensic audit into this project. Mr. Speaker, we will apprise the House when this audit is completed. And Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, the Auditor General is the one doing this forensic audit in partnership with some of the Big Four. Update on sinking fund. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget statement, government announced that it will commence the operationalization of Section 37 to 44 of the Public Financial Management Act, Act 921, as amended, to build sufficient buffers in the sinking fund for prompt redemption of specified loans obligations of government. Mr. Speaker, government has set up a CD sinking fund account and US dollar sinking fund account. Beginning August 2025, the Ministry of Finance will commence the building of cash buffers to support the repayment of Ghana's domestic debt service obligation relating to the domestic debt exchange program bonds, which will fall due in the year 2027, 2028, and even 2026. Mr. Speaker, the CD sinking fund will specifically target the redemption and debt service harms in 2026 of 20 billion US dollars, Ghana cedis, for the year 2026, 50.3 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2027, and 45.75 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2025. Similarly, the US dollar sinking fund account will also target Eurobond redemption, which will fall due from 2026 of 1.45 billion US dollars, $1.17 billion US dollars in 2027, and $1.14 billion US dollars in the year 2028. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the sinking fund will provide a reliable buffers that ensures timely and predictable redemption of designated public debt obligation. This structured approach to debt service will enhance investor confidence and contribute to long-term debt sustainability of our dear country. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to Government of Ghana's liability management operations. Mr. Speaker, government has begun an implementation of an effective and efficient liability management program to reduce embedded risk on debt portfolio. Our liability management operation will, 1, reduce debt service costs and mitigate refinancing or rollover risk, extend maturities to alleviate near-term financing pressures, Mr. Speaker, to optimize the debt portfolio by rebalancing the mix of short-term versus long-term instruments and strengthen market confidence. Under our liability management operations, Mr. Speaker, we will analyze the domestic bond market to assess suitability for bonds buybacks. We will carefully sequence issuance of benchmark securities and prioritize longer dated tenor to establish a stable yield curve. Mr. Speaker, I take you to primary dealers and bond market specialist system as we inherited. Mr. Speaker, our debt management strategy is to use treasury bills for cash management purposes only. We intend to reopen the domestic bond market to finance the budget deficit. The reopening of the domestic bond market will aim at creating a more competitive primary market that can deliver the volume and pricing to enable the government lower its borrowing costs. Mr. Speaker, beginning August 2025, we will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, beginning 2025 August, the government of Ghana will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, the selection of book runners will focus on banks and investment dealers with the ability to achieve a wider market distribution and advice on pricing and structuring. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revised macroeconomic framework. Mr. Speaker, macroeconomic target. Economic development in the first half of the year do not warrant a revision to the macroeconomic target and the appropriations bill. Mr. Speaker, I am not asking for additional money from the Appropriations Act. We maintain the following macroeconomic target for 2025. 1, overall GDP growth at least 4.0%. At least. Non-oil GDP growth of at least 4.8%. End-year inflation rate of 11.9%. Primary balance on commitment basis at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP. And gross international reserves covering not less than 3 months of import. Mr. Speaker, although we have made significant progress, we are cautiously optimistic. Right Honorable Speaker, despite maintaining our macroeconomic target for 2025, including the primary balance on commitment basis of a surplus of 1.5% of GDP, we are revising both revenue and expenditure projections to reflect the impact of the additional revenue from the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025, Act 1141. Revisions to revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, as a result, total revenue and grant has been revised upwards from the 2025 budget target of 227.1 billion to 229.9 billion, or from 16.2% of GDP to 16.4% of GDP. This represents a nominal increase of 1.3%. Mr. Speaker, the additional revenue of 2.9 billion Ghana cedis will come from the increase in revenues from the amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revisions to expenditures. Revisions to expenditures. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis has been revised downwards from 269.5 billion from the original budget projection of 270.9 billion Ghana cedis. However, primary expenditures has been revised upwards to 209.6 billion from the original budget projection of 206.8 billion Ghana cedis. This upward adjustment reflects an increase in the allocation to support energy sector payment. Mr. Speaker, interest payments have been revised downwards by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis from the original budget projection of 64.1 billion to 59.9 billion cedis. Right Honorable Speaker, domestic interest has been revised downwards by 5.1 billion Ghana cedis, mainly on account of gains from the reduction in the treasury bill rate as a result of the implementation of our prudent debt management policies. However, external interest payments have been revised upwards by 795 million to make additional provision for debt service due on post-cutoff date disbursement made by our bilateral creditors since 2023. Mr. Speaker, energy sector payments have also been revised upwards by 2.9 billion Ghana cedis to provision for fuel purchases for power generation. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to overall balance and financing. Right Honorable Speaker, notwithstanding the revisions to revenue and expenditure, the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP. Based on the revisions to revenue and expenditure, the following fiscal balance on cash basis improves from a deficit of 4.1% of GDP to 3.8% of GDP. I mean the fiscal balance. The overall fiscal balance on commitment basis improves from a deficit of 3.1% to 2.8%, and the projected annual borrowing needs of government reduced by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis. Simple put, we will be borrowing less by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, risk to 2025 budget, risk to the 2025 fiscal framework. Mr. Speaker, despite the robust fiscal performance, there are some underlying risks which pose a threat to the 2025 fiscal framework. The risks are as follows: shortfalls in customs revenue, smuggling of marine gas oil, mounting wage pressures, and pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. Mr. Speaker, I'll take them one by one. Customs revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, customs revenue recorded a significant shortfall of 1.6 billion, even though the overall revenue is doing well, representing 12.7% reduction from the first half of 2025. This performance is attributed to systemic revenue leakage at key customs collection points, particularly the Tema Port and the smuggling of goods across our land borders. Mr. Speaker, these developments pose risk to the attainment of our revenue target year 2025. To mitigate these risks, government is implementing the following measures to address the existing operational challenges to safeguard revenue. 1, we will adopt the use of artificial intelligence, AI, to minimize human interference in revenue assessment, supporting the validation of the country of origin, as well as the accuracy of classification and valuation of imported goods. Mr. Speaker, we are rolling out advanced cargo information system to ensure that the Ghana Port and Harbors Authority, GPHA, and the Ghana Revenue Authority, the GRA, receives comprehensive shipment detail at least 24 hours prior to vessel departure from the port of origin. Mr. Speaker, this will enable pre-arrival risk assessment, reduce the need for documentation amendment, and facilitate more accurate and timely duty assessment. We will also be implementing a robust anti-smuggling surveillance program targeting both inland and maritime borders. And to those at Sankase, we are coming after you. Mr. Speaker, reviewing the institutional setup of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, including staff mobility. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat this. We will be reviewing the institutional setup of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, including staff mobility, to facilitate the decentralization of customs operations. Mr. Speaker, operational risk assessment to enhance transparency and accountability of staff will be enhanced. Now I will take you to the smuggling of marine gas oil, MGO. Right Honorable Speaker, tax exemptions on marine gas oil was introduced to support non-artisanal fishing fleet operating from Ghana. Over the years, the tax exemptions have created incentive to abuse and smuggling of MGO onto the open market, resulting in revenue losses estimated at nearly $500 million Ghana cedis every year. The government will withdraw the tax exemption to curb smuggling and stem the erosion of tax revenue, thereby reducing the fiscal risk to the 2025 budget. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to wages and salary, which happens to be the third risk to the budget. Right Honorable Speaker, we have seen some significant pressures on the compensation budget for the first half of 2025, mainly emanating from wages and salaries. Wages and salaries exceeded the target by 1.3 billion Ghana cedis for the first 6 months of the year. Mr. Speaker, the wage pressures were largely driven by last-minute recruitment undertaken by the previous MPP administration in the last quarter of 2024, especially in the areas of education, health, and security sector. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat. The wage pressures we are largely seeing are driven by the last-minute recruitment undertaken by the previous government in the last quarter of 2024, especially in areas of education, health, and the security sector. In addition, ad hoc reviews of conditions of service undertaken in previous years have distorted the single spine pay policy and further burdened the public wage. Mr. Speaker, the government is implementing the following measures to address this challenge. Number one, we'll conduct regular nationwide staff payroll audit to sanitize the payroll. Mr. Speaker, we'll be realigning all staff from overstaffed areas and defunct MDAs to areas with critical staffing needs. Right Honorable Speaker, we'll finalize the process for the establishment of the Independent Emolument Committee as part of the broader effort to reform and reset public sector pay. And finally, we will issue an executive directive mandating all MDAs to seek approval from the Minister of Finance or the Ministry of Finance before making any commitment with financial implications on the payroll. Mr. Speaker, pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. Pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. Mr. Speaker, pricing of goods and services and award of contract in foreign currency pose significant risk to fiscal management, with severe implications for the stability of our Ghana cedi. Unfortunately, foreign currencies are becoming the means of transacting business in Ghana. This trend, if not checked, will erode the confidence in our currency, drive inflation, and result in the loss of value in the symbol of our sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, to curb this unfortunate development, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has directed that beginning today, 24th of July 2025, no contract awarded by government, irrespective of source of fund, should be denominated in foreign currency. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. To curb this unfortunate development, President John Dramani Mahama has directed that beginning today, 24th of July 2025, no contract awarded by government, irrespective of source of funding, should be denominated in foreign currency. Mr. Speaker, we also want to use this opportunity to remind the public that per the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, companies, institutions, and individuals are prohibited from pricing, advertising, receipting, or making payment for goods and services in foreign currencies in Ghana without prior written approval from the Bank of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will take you to key policy initiatives. Mr. Speaker, I now present updates on key policy initiatives outlined in the 2025 budget. Right, Honorable Speaker, since its establishment in April 2025, the Ghana Gold Board has initiated reforms to licensing regime that governs the local gold trading sector and introduced new aggregation system to effectively mop up gold from artisanal small-scale mining sector across the country. These measures have already yielded tangible economic benefits within the short period of operation of the Ghana Gold Board. In the first half of 2025 alone, gold export from the small-scale sector stood at 51.5 tons with an export value of approximately $5 billion. This figure far exceeds the 26.4 tons which are with an export value of $1.8 billion from the small-scale mining sector over the same period in 2024. Mr. Speaker, simple put, gold export in tons from the small-scale mining sector for the first half of 2025 recorded about 100% increase over what was recorded in the year 2024. Similarly, the value of gold export from small-scale mining increased by about 180% for the first half of 2025 over that of the same period in 2024. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in Ghana's history, gold export from small-scale mining sector have exceeded gold export from large-scale sector. Mr. Speaker, the substantial foreign exchange inflows from the Gold Board operations in the artisanal small-scale mining sector have significantly strengthened our reserves, improved our balance of payment, and provided critical support for the Ghana city. Mr. Speaker, this tells a story of a country which has been denied the full benefit of its gold resources, a story of a country where illegal gold trade and smuggling have been allowed to fester to the detriment of the well-being of the people. Right, Honorable Speaker. On the 8th of July 2025, His Excellency President John Mahama inaugurated a task force to tackle illegal gold trade and smuggling. I also want to use this opportunity as the Sector Minister to reiterate that the government of President Mahama would deal ruthlessly with anyone found engaging in illegal trade and smuggling, as these nation-wrecking activities sabotage the progress of our country. Mr. Speaker, I also want to reiterate the point that no one should come to us and beg because we will not spare you. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program deserves some update. Mr. Speaker, earlier this month, President Mahama officially launched the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program, Ghana's ambitious and integrated strategy to boost production, create sustainable jobs, and modernize our economy. The 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program represent a national reset aimed at reducing import dependence, expanding domestic production, improving market access, and building a competitive, skilled workforce for a dynamic economy. Right, Honorable Speaker, the anchor of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program is the Volta Economic Corridor, a transformational project to unlock the vast economic and environmental potential of the Volta Lake and its surrounding lands. Mr. Speaker, the Volta Economic Corridor revives and expands on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's original vision of the Volta project as a hub for agro-industry, trade and transport, now reimagined to fit today's economic reality and regional opportunities. Mr. Speaker, the Volta Economic Corridor will be executed through the following pillars of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program. Right, Honorable Speaker. Grow 24 will irrigate 2 million hectares of farmlands for year-round farming instead of the traditional seasonal farming. Right, Honorable Speaker. Make 24 will establish agro-industrial parks for textiles, pharmaceuticals, and food processing. Mr. Speaker, Show 24 will develop tourism clusters and hospitality hubs along the Volta Lake. And Connect 24 will turn the lake into a major inland transport route, cutting haulage costs and linking northern, southern, eastern, and western Ghana. Mr. Speaker, to support this transformative program, the Ministry of Finance will, in the 2026 budget, outline targeted incentives for the Volta Economic Corridor. These measures will be carefully designed to attract private capital, drive enterprise growth, and create decent, well-paying jobs. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, the Ministry of Finance will, as part of the 2026 budget, outline a targeted incentive for the Volta Economic Corridor. Right Honorable Speaker, the government will only facilitate and not dominate this ambitious growth goal. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the big push. Right Honorable Speaker, as part of the 2025 budget, we announced the commencement of the Big Push program, a flagship initiative of President John Dramani Mahama for massive infrastructure development. Since then, the President has dedicated all Big Push budgetary allocation for the next 2 years. Mr. Speaker, and I mean all Big Push allocation for the next 2 years to improve road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that Parliament approved that all oil revenue and mineral royalties accrued to the budget were dedicated to the Big Push. As a result, an amount of 13.8 billion Ghana cedis was allocated in the 2025 budget for the Big Push program to be used for road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Roads and Highways has spent the last 6 months of his time in office touring the whole country to assess firsthand the state of our roads. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Roads and Highways has undertaken studies and prepared comprehensive engineering interventions and cost estimate for roads projects across the country for the Big Push program. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance has since issued commencement authorization for the following road infrastructure projects under the Big Push program. Mr. Speaker, these are the following Big Push projects as approved by the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, number 1, the construction of a new bridge on the Oti River at Dambai. Number 2, rehabilitation of Wahan Road. 3, upgrading of Tumu Hamile Road. 4, upgrading of Tumu Han Laura Road. 5, reconstruction of Navrongo Tumu Road. 6, rehabilitation of Techiman Nkonsia Wenchi Road. 7, rehabilitation of Wenchi Sola Road. 8, Mr. Speaker, construction of Sunyane Outer Ring Road. Mr. Speaker, the construction of Kumasi Outer Ring Road, Eastern Quadrant. Mr. Speaker, the rehabilitation of Bintri Napanduri Road. Mr. Speaker, the rehabilitation of Dodo Pepeso and Kwanta Road. Rehabilitation of Achimpoku Esukuma Junction Road. Rehabilitation of Esukuma Junction to Enyinawase Road. Right Honorable Speaker, Enyinawase to Ho Titrenu Road. Mr. Speaker, we'll be upgrading the Akosombo Jakiti Kudikope Road. Mr. Speaker, we'll be upgrading Esukuma to Enumbuso to Parliament Road. Mr. Speaker, Adome Bridge to Akomufre Road. We'll be upgrading Ho to Petoi Road. Mr. Speaker, rehabilitation of Petoi to Afiadanyamepa Road. Mr. Speaker, we'll be rehabilitating Penny to Aflao Road. We will be dualizing Winneba to Mankesim Road. We'll be dualizing Cape Coast to Takrade Road. We'll be rehabilitating Mankesim Ejumako to Aguna Swedro Road. Mr. Speaker, we'll be rehabilitating Tema to Aflao Road. Construction of Dodowa to Afenya Dowenya Road. Right Honorable Speaker, we will be upgrading the Oyibi to Apollonia Afenya Road. Right Honorable Speaker, we'll be constructing the Enchi to Elubo Road. We'll also be constructing the Dadieso to Akontombra Road. We'll be upgrading the Adrefua to Ose Kojokrom Road. And we will be upgrading the Enchi to Kojoru Penchi Road. And finally, Mr. Speaker, we'll be upgrading the Bediako Junction, Camp 15 to Sefi, Adobokrom Road. Mr. Speaker, as part of the Big Push program, we have also selected the following abandoned road projects for which no dedicated funding was allocated for by the previous administration to be included into the Big Push program. Mr. Speaker, the projects are as follows: upgrading of Kasua to Winneba Road, rehabilitation of Ofanko to Insawam Road, dual carriage. Right Honorable Speaker, dualization of Takrady to Agona Junction Road. Mr. Speaker, the construction of Swami Interchange and local roads. Mr. Speaker, we'll also be constructing the National Route 18 from Wa to Han Road. And we'll be upgrading the Tumu to Chichiliga to Navrongo, including the construction of 36-meter span reinforced concrete over the Kenyibi River and 24-meter span reinforced concrete over the Bichirunu River. Right Honorable Speaker, we will be reconstructing the Navrongo to Sandema Road. Mr. Speaker, we will be rehabilitating the Tepa to Gosu Road, rehabilitating the Hohoi to Jasikan Road, and we will be rehabilitating Nkwanta to Oti Damanko Road. We will be reconstructing the Have to Hohoi Road, and we will dualize the Adenta Dodowa Road. And Mr. Speaker, to conclude, we will reconstruct the Jenejene to Sampa Road. Right Honorable Speaker, in line with Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act, and as part of this media fiscal review of the 2025 budget statement and economic policy, I am seeking approval for these multi-year commitments. Mr. Speaker, government has also initiated comprehensive feasibility studies for 4 projects which are currently at various stages of preparation, ensuring detailed assessment of their technical, economic, and environmental viability. Mr. Speaker, the projects are as follows. Project number 1, Accra-Kumasi Expressway on a completely new alignment. Mr. Speaker, Accra Outer Ring Road, Kumasi Outer Ring Road, and Adoso Echi Amanfo Bridge to connect the Afram Prince area. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to reorganization of the Ghana Road Fund. Right Honorable Speaker, this is not all. The government of President John Mahama has also taken a decision to remodel the Ghana Road Fund and refocus it towards road maintenance. As part of this media review, and on behalf of the government, the Minister for Roads and Highways will be laying before this House a new road maintenance trust fund bill. When approved, the Road Maintenance Trust Fund Bill will replace the Ghana Road Fund. Mr. Speaker, the Road Maintenance Trust Fund will, among others, provide for a new governance architecture, provide a formula for a fairer allocation of resources, and introduce more transparency in the utilization of road fund levy and others. Mr. Speaker, government has identified 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure. Right Honorable Speaker, the government has identified 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure. In response, we have programmed to rehabilitate 10 kilometers of roads annually in each of these 166 constituencies across the country. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker. The President Mahama administration has identified 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure. In response, we have programmed to rehabilitate 10 kilometers of roads annually in each of these constituencies. Mr. Speaker, this translates to about 5,000 kilometers of road to be constructed in these 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure over the next 3 years. So, Speaker, simple put, over the next 3 years, we'll be building 5,000 kilometers of road in these 166 constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform this House that we have paid all nursing and teacher training allowances from January to June 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, from the end of this month, July 2025, all nursing and teacher trainees will receive their allowances promptly at the end of every single month. Mr. Speaker, I'll now move to the conclusion. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. I conclude this media fiscal policy review.
We have other business. It's not only this one. Please.
Right Honorable Speaker. I conclude this media fiscal review with renewed hope and optimism. The last 6 months have revealed our enduring spirit, what we can collectively achieve, and our potential to rise from the brink. Upon assumption of office in January this year, we were handed an economy in deep distress, a country with dispirited citizens. Trust and faith in our leaders were at all-time low. The fundamentals were not only weak, but broken. Mr. Speaker, and the misery and suffering were palpable. Mr. Speaker, in just 6 months, in fact, under 200 days, under the decisive leadership of President John Mahama, we have begun to change the story. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama's economic management model is working. The turnaround is in sight. Mr. Speaker, the signs of economic progress are visible and measurable. Mr. Speaker, first quarter economic growth is at 5-year high. Our debt to GDP ratio is at a 5-year low. Mr. Speaker, inflation has declined to a 4-year low. Right Honorable Speaker, our credit rating has improved from junk to B- with stable outlook, a 2-notch upgrade and a 4-year high. Right Honorable Speaker, we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciations in the years 2022, 2023 and 2024, with no cedi depreciation in the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, the level of the appreciation of the Ghana cedi has never happened in the history of our nation. Prices of petrol and diesel at the pump have reduced significantly to the benefit of consumers. And the price of sugar, rice, and cooking oil at a 4-year low. Mr. Speaker, the price of 25 kg kilogram bag of Royal Aroma rice, which used to be sold at 650 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 356 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the price of Olonka of sugar, which used to be sold for 50 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 44 Ghana cedis. Right Honorable Speaker, price of 25 litre of cooking oil, which used to be sold for 980 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 640 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, price of konkonte, 1 sack. Price of konkonte, 1 sack, which used to be sold for 1,200 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 950 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, a ton of iron rods, which used to be sold at 9,400 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold at 7,500 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, onions, 1 paint bucket, which used to be sold at 120 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 95 Ghana cedis. Right Honorable Speaker, POP cement, which used to be sold for 115 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 90 Ghana cedis. The Speaker, maize, 1 sack, which used to be sold for 1,600 Ghana cedis in January, is now being sold for 1,450. And Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Agriculture has promised that it will go down even more. Mr. Speaker, the price of Yas sanitary pad, which was 25 Ghana cedis in January, is now going for 15 Ghana cedis. 15 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, palm fruit, 1 olonka, which used to be sold for 40 Ghana cedis, is now being sold for 25 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this is the reset President Mahama promised. This is the reset President Mahama promised. It has been 6 months of hard work. We have lessened the burden on households and businesses. Mr. Speaker, contrary to the perception that we are not spending, we are indeed spending, and spending at the right places. We are making the right investment in the lives of the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, an amount of $700 million US dollars of Eurobond obligations has been paid. An amount of 10 billion to domestic bondholders has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2.9 billion Ghana cedis to the District Assembly's Common Fund has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2.7 billion Ghana cedis to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 9.1 billion Ghana cedis to the energy sector for stable power supply has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 5 billion Ghana cedis of arrears has been paid. Right Honorable Speaker, an amount of 4.6 billion to the Ghana Education Trust Fund has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 1 billion Ghana cedis to the free secondary education program has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 4.6 billion Ghana cedis to the National Health Insurance Scheme has been paid. Right Honorable Speaker, an amount of 1.4 billion for the National Health Insurance claims has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 252 million for vaccines and essential medicine has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 72.8 million Ghana cedis as capitation grant has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 895 million to the school feeding program has been paid. Right Honorable Speaker, an amount of 477 million to the LEAP beneficiaries has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 122.8 million for BECE registration has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 300 million to the no fee stress policy has been paid. Right Honorable Speaker, an amount of 191.7 million Ghana cedis as teacher training allowances has been paid. Mr. Speaker, again an amount of 462.6 million as nursing training allowances has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 25 million as assembly members allowance has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 21 million Ghana cedis for National Apprenticeship Program has been paid. Right, Honorable Speaker. An amount of 34.5 million to the Jumawe program has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2 billion Ghana cedis as goods and service to run effective and efficient government ministries, departments and agencies has been paid. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, an amount of 2 billion Ghana cedis to save the National Investment Bank has been paid. Right, Honorable Speaker. Non-interest expenditure of 84.2 billion Ghana cedis has been paid. So far, Mr. Speaker, from January to June, total cash of 114.5 billion has been paid from the consolidated fund. Mr. Speaker, we are spending and spending at the right places. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are spending at the right places. We are touching lives and we are changing our country. Mr. Speaker, this is not all. We have also worked to improve the fiscal situation. We have restored fiscal discipline. We have implemented appropriate policies to reduce interest rates significantly, thereby reducing the cost of borrowing. So, Speaker, we have saved on domestic interest payment following the implementation of our prudent debt management policies. Mr. Speaker, there is still more work to be done. President Mahama is determined to deliver. Inshallah, His Excellency John Mahama will deliver. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are not out of the woods yet. It will be premature to make that pronouncement. So, Speaker, I repeat, we are not out of the woods yet. It will be premature to make that pronouncement. But the good news is that today, hope is in sight. And we are determined to navigate the country out of the terrible storm we inherited from President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. Mr. Speaker, we need the support of the people of Ghana to weather this storm. Mr. Speaker, to the farmer in Yendi and to the fisher folk in Sekendi and Shama, to the nurse in Sunyane and the teacher in Enumbuso and Ejumako, to the Ghanaian youth seeking decent work, to the elderly seeking better pension. We see you, we hear you, and we are working for you. John Mahama will work for you. The NDC will work for you. The gains we have made so far are the results of your sacrifice, your patience, our belief that change was not only necessary but crucial. Mr. Speaker, this media review is not just a technical report. It is the story of the Ghanaian people. A story of a nation that refused to give up. A story that echoes Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. Mr. Speaker, this is a story that echoes Nelson Mandela's quote, that it always seems impossible until it is done. Mr. Speaker, even as we look back at how far we have come, we are also looking ahead. This is the essence of John Mahama's leadership. He is focused and he will deliver. President Mahama is honoring his promise to the Ghanaian people. The second half of 2025 promises to be even better. We expect inflation to continue its downward trend and reach our 2025 target ahead of schedule. We will sustain the stability of the cedi through disciplined spending, targeted investment, and continued reserve accumulation. Growth will be further boosted by strategic initiatives, including the 24-hour economy program, the Big Push infrastructure program, and the revitalization of agriculture through the Agriculture for Economic Transformation program. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that during my vetting, when asked what I would like to be remembered as a minister, Mr. Speaker, I stated that I would like to be remembered for stabilizing the exchange rate, ensuring low prices, and creating jobs. Right Honorable Speaker, ahead of the presentation of the 2025 budget, my engagement with the traders at the Mokola market revealed that prices and exchange rate stability were the overriding concerns of the business community. Mr. Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity to thank our cherished traders at Mokola for their valuable insight. Mr. Speaker, the update on the cedi and the prices, as said earlier, clearly shows that we have taken deliberate and decisive action to ensure that the challenges with exchange rate and prices are tackled head-on. Mr. Speaker, let me assure all Ghanaians that the stability in the exchange rate and the lower prices we are experiencing will be sustained. Ghanaians, Mr. Speaker, the government has worked hard to bring down and stabilize the exchange rate with deliberate policies. It is now time for businesses to bring down prices to reflect the new economic reality. We understand businesses went through some sacrifices during the turbulent economic challenges, but so did the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, it is now time for prices to come down to reflect the new realities for the benefit of all Ghanaians and not only for the traders. Mr. Speaker, as we look forward, more jobs will be created, confidence will be deepened, and the Ghanaian economy will stand tall again, not just in the sub-region, but on the global stage. But to do this, Mr. Speaker, we must stay united as a people and eschew divisiveness. We must continue to have faith in our country, Ghana. Mr. Speaker, most importantly, we must have faith in our currency, the Ghana cedi. For 60 years through cycles of inflation, devaluation, redenomination, and recovery, the cedi has remained the symbol of our sovereignty. It has endured, it has evolved, and it remains the only legal tender of our republic. Let us protect it. Let us trade with our currency, the Ghana cedi. Let us talk about it with pride, not as a burden, but as a badge of economic independence. Mr. Speaker, I believe in the cedi. Fellow countrymen and women, I believe in the cedi. You also have to believe in the cedi. Mr. Speaker, let to all of us who have the privilege to serve in the leadership of our nation, let us unite and do this for ourselves, for our children and for our children's children. It is our collective responsibility to reset our country. Ghana needs us more than ever. Our people needs us. Mr. Speaker, I cannot conclude this address without expressing deep gratitude to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, whose unwavering dedication and vision continue to anchor this national reset. Mr. Speaker, on a personal level, I thank His Excellency the President, because without him, this work couldn't have been achieved. Mr. Speaker, he is indeed the anchor towards our economic reset. Right Honorable Speaker, and to you, Father, Mr. Speaker, Alban, Sumana, Kingsford, Bagman, our father, and members of Parliament and the Parliamentary Service, I'm extremely grateful. Mr. Speaker, indeed, Aban Papaba. Mr. Speaker, Aban Papaba. No wonder my brother Kwame and his team had to flee the chamber. I salute Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Asampanabo, to revive our economy. Asampanabo, to revive our economy. Honorable members, Kenya Deni Uyebo, Ato Kenya Deni Uyebo, Ato Kenya Deni Uyebo. Ate is forcing. Honorable members, Honorable members, in line with the practice and convention of the House, I refer the Media Fiscal Policy Review of the Budget Statement and Economic Policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2025 financial year to the Budget Committee to be assisted by the leadership of the Committee on Finance for deliberation and report to the House. When it comes to the House, we will hear from the chairman of the committee after it has gone through the report as to whether they second the motion that has been moved or not. If they do so, then it will be opened for debate. This is a motion, it's not a statement. And so members will have the opportunity to debate the Media Fiscal Policy Review of the Budget Statement and Economic Policy of the Government of Ghana. So I intend to permit the minister to and then report to the House for us to have a comprehensive report to the House for us to have on what we just heard from the Minister of Finance. We will start with the presentation and first reading of the bill. And so, honorable members, item 1 on the order paper addendum, Minister for Finance.
An act to amend the Energy Sector Levies, Act 2025, Act 1135, to increase the rate of the energy sector shortfalls and debt repayment, levy marine gas oil in order to improve compliance and curb diversion of the product and provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the Energy Sector Levies Amendment number 2 Bill 2025 is accordingly referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. We now take item 2, presentation of instruments 2A.
Public-Private Partnership Regulation 2025.
Honorable members, the said instrument is also referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. 2B.
Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provision Amendment Regulation 2025.
Honorable members, the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provisions Amendment Regulation 2025 is also referred to the Committee on Finance. Sorry, that one is regulations. So regulations go to subsidiary legislation committee. I amend my earlier referral of public-private partnership regulations and direct both 2A and 2B to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation with support, I believe, from the leadership of the Committees of Finance. They are needed to support at least the consideration of these instruments. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, your earlier referral of the mid-year fiscal policy to the Budget Committee and a request that they should be assisted by the leadership of the Committee on Finance. You know our present arrangements where Budget Committee is chaired differently from the Finance Committee. So I will crave your indulgence if we could make it a joint referral of both the Finance Committee and the budget, because it is a multi-year commitment. So economy and then finance, the two of them should handle this referral.
Honorable Majority Leader, I have no problem with that at all. So we will accordingly amend the earlier directive by referring the said media review to a joint committee of finance and budget. Please, you know by our rules, other members are permitted to attend the sittings of committees. So any member with interest or who wants to have a point put across is permitted to attend and contribute. It's only you don't have a vote, but at least you have the opportunity to make inputs into the report. So it's accordingly referred to a joint committee of finance and budget for consideration and report to the House. Honorable members, yes, Majority Leader.
There's a very strong lobby for the leadership of the Economy Committee to join the two committees, just the leadership of the Economy Committee, given that there are significant economic policy matters implicated in the discussions. So if we could just add the leadership of the Economy Committee, Economy and Development Committee.
I have a difficulty in adding the Committee on Economy and Development because when you look at the standing order, the focus of that committee has to do with matters relating to the economy and development, but emphasis on development planning. Is economy and development planning generally. and the jurisdiction to investigate and inquire into the activities and administration of ministries, departments, and agencies under the mandate of the committee. And the investigations and inquiry may extend to proposals for legislation. If we open the floodgate, as I just eavesdrop, we may be called upon to add ways and means. That's why I added that members are by our rules permitted to attend as members of parliament to contribute to the deliberations of the committee. So let's leave it at the Joint Committee of Finance and Budget. I hope my friends in the Economy and Development Planning will not take issue with this. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the referral and the guidance. We believe that the two committees will effectively perform the task that we have referred to them. So, Speaker, ordinarily when the Minister for Finance presents his budget or mid-year review, and if my friends opposite were there, we'll ordinarily have an opportunity as leadership to thank the Minister for the presentation of the mid-year review. I don't know if we will do that or we want to continue with other business before us.
Well, if it is the pleasure of the House that the leader should, on their behalf, express some kind words of gratitude to the minister, why not? It will be permitted. But let me just acknowledge the presence at the distinguished visitors gallery of some members of the National Democratic Congress national executives. We have present with us the national chairman himself, Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. We also have the chief executive of the National Democratic Congress, in the person of Fifi Fiavi Kwete. And we have one of our former leaders, recently left us voluntarily as a deputy minority leader at our last parliament, but now occupying a very privileged position. I'm told he is now in charge of the financial intelligence Security and Exchange Commission, in the person of Honorable James Kuliche Aveji, longest serving chair of Public Accounts Committee. We also have from the Bank of Ghana, the governor of the bank himself, in the person of Dr. Johnson Esiema. We have the first deputy governor in the person of Zachary Mumuni, and the second deputy governor, Matilda Asante Asiedu. Also with us are officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority. We have the Controller General himself, Mr. Anthony Kwasi Sapon, and then the Commissioner in charge of the Customs Division, Brigadier General The writing is difficult to read. It's Annan. The person who wrote it. The Annan is spelled A-N-A-A-N. Is that how it's spelled? Annan. And we also have a commissioner, the CID, Honorable Dr. Alex Adumaku Mensah. We have officials from the Ministry of Finance. The Chief Director is here, Mr. Patrick Nimu, my former neighbor. We have the Director of the Budget, Mr. Isaac. Is it Franco? And the Coordinating Director, David Collison. Please, next time, take your time and write the names. I think the person was in a haste, so it's very difficult to read. Honorable members, on your behalf, I warmly welcome them to the House, and I thank them so much for their support, particularly the moral support they have given us. I hope they will appear before the committee to assist the committee to do a good job so that we don't leave any room for those who are absent to raise red flags. We may now grant permission to the majority leader if he wants a few words to thank our Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I want to, on behalf of my colleagues in the House, thank the Minister of Finance for such a wonderful presentation. The Minister for Finance's delivery was splendid. We clearly understood every policy initiative that he has dealt with, how he has dealt with it, and what his plans are for the country. So, Speaker, I know that from a very personal level, the last 6 months have not been an easy period for the Minister for Finance. It's been a very difficult period for him because he's had to deal boldly and decisively on issues that many who have come before him have hesitated to deal with. I want to assure him that this House stands solidly behind him in the performance of his duties. We will continue to back him to ensure that proposals that he brings to this House are expeditiously approved so that he can effectively address the challenges of this country. So, Speaker, for once, I listened to a mid-year budget review without biblical quotations by Bible-wielding ministers who have ended up digging a hole without a cathedral emerging.
Majority Leader, you have to thank the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the minister
So
for limiting the number of biblical quotations.
I don't want you to want to thank. Thank him and let's go.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that our friends opposite fled the chamber before he presented the media review. It is obvious that they have been monitoring the performance of the economy. And they knew that this media review was going to unearth the wastage, the thievery, and the mess that was bequeathed to the NDC government, the abysmal performance of our predecessors. And they knew that he is going to recount the very positive steps that have been taken in the last 6 months. This is indeed the basis of the minority fleeing the chamber before the presentation of the budget. Every Ghanaian knows that the incidents that happened in Ablekuma North are not grave to the extent that a whole minority will refuse to listen to the mid-year budget, which concerns the welfare of all Ghanaians.
Majority Leader, don't tempt me. Please.
Mr. Speaker, I'm still thanking the minister.
You are to express the gratitude of the House to the minister. Don't go into troubled waters. Just do that and let's move.
Mr. Speaker, so I want to thank the Minister for Finance for scaring and intimidating my friends opposite. Speaker, on a more serious note, I think that we need to address the walkout. And I'm saying that the walkout is as a result of the good news that the Finance Minister was bringing. And we thank the Finance Minister for bringing the mid-year review to us. We are very grateful to him and will continue to assure him of our support. Thank you very much, Mr. Ato Forson.
Honorable members, may I now refer you to Order Paper Addendum 2. We have one item there to deal with, which is presentation and first reading of bills. The Road Maintenance Trust Fund Bill 2025 by the Minister for Roads and Highways.
An act to establish the Road Maintenance Trust Fund to provide sustainable financing for the maintenance and rehabilitation of public roads, bridges, and related infrastructure in the country, and for related matters.
Honorable members, the Road Maintenance Trust Fund Bill 2025 is referred to the Committee on Roads and Transport for consideration and report to the House. I will want to yield the chair to my deputy so that you can continue with the other business whilst I go to perform, as you all know, the launch of the second anniversary of the Democracy Cup. We need some of you to be present for me to do so. Not all of you, because we have some business to continue with. At least we should have a quorum to transact business, even if not to take decision. The launch will not take a long time. After that, the other members can come to join. Please, First Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, can we go to the main order paper and take item 7C? Item 7C. The Deputy Minister for Energy and Green Transition is...
Honourable Majority Leader, my attention has been drawn to the fact that we have not done the vote and proceedings.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we just want to vary the order of business so that we can lay all the papers, and then we can go back to votes and proceedings.
Very well.
So when they are laid and referred to the committees, they can be working whilst we take the votes and proceedings.
Honourable members, at commencement of public business, item numbered 7, presentation of papers. Item numbered 7A. We should take 7C. Very well. Item number 7C.
Work program of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation for the year 2025.
Honourable members, the report has been duly laid and it is referred to Committee on Energy and Green Transition. Yes, Majority Leader.
So, Mr. Speaker, we can go back to votes and proceedings. We can go back to votes and proceedings.
Very well. Item numbered 5, correction of votes and proceedings. Vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 2nd July 2025. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10. Yes, Frank Afriye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I was up on my feet from page 7, but it does appear you couldn't.
Please go ahead.
Okay, page 7B, the very first paragraph. The name Asafo-Adjei is hyphenated. And so if the clerk at table could take note and correct accordingly. Thank you.
Very well. Table office, cross-check it. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Yes, Frank Afriye.
Speaker, thank you once again. Page 18, item 17. The third line, there's been a repetition of a phrase. That's government of the.
Honourable Member, you are correct. Table of use, take note.
Thank you.
Page 19. Page 20. Page 21. Page 22. Page 23. Page 24. Page 25. Page 26. Page 27. Page 28. Page 29. Page 30. Yes, Honorable Frank Afriye.
Speaker, a minor error. That's page 30, XI. I think the standard rendition of the portfolio of Mr. Isaac Menu Owusu should be engineer, health, safety, and environment, not environmental. Because if you refer, Speaker, if you refer to page 29, that's VII. The appropriate rendition is there. The page before 30.
Very well. Table of use, cross-check.
Thank you.
And page 21. Honourable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 23rd July 2025 is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let's take item 7A. The report is ready for laying.
Item number 13. Which item did you mention?
7A. 7A and B are all ready.
Very well. Item number 7A by Majority Leader.
(2024) Annual National Progress Report of the National Development Planning Commission on the implementation of the Medium-Term National Development Plan under the policy framework and agenda for jobs, creating prosperity and equal opportunity for all, 2022-2025.
Honourable members, the annual report has been duly presented and it is referred to the Committee on Economic and Development for consideration and reports. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister just stepped out to work with the Budget and Finance Committees on the mid-year review. So if we can have the Minister for Foreign Affairs lay item 7B on behalf of the Minister for Finance.
Item number 7B, Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Security and Exchange Commission for the year 2024.
Honourable members, the annual report has been duly presented and it is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and reports. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we can have the Foreign Affairs Minister to lay the Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, and Roman numeral 3 for us, and then also Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, and then Roman numeral 3 for us on behalf of the Ministers of Environment and then the Minister of Communications.
Item numbered 7D at page 3 of today's order paper. Yes, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs. We take all of them together.
Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission for the year 2024. Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology for the year 2024. Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Environment Protection Authority for the year 2024.
Honourable members, the annual statement numbered item 7D at page 3 of today's order paper has been duly presented and it is referred to the Committee on Information and Communication for consideration and report. Very well, honourable members, let me vary my referral. The item numbered 7D 1 to 3 at page 3 has been duly presented and it is referred to Committee on Environment, Science and Technology for consideration and report rather. Yes, item numbered 7E. Let's take them together. Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the National Information Technology Authority for the year 2024. Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Data Protection Commission for the year 2024. Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Cyber Security Authority for the year 2024.
Honourable members, the annual statements numbered item 7E at page 3 of today's order paper have been duly presented. They are referred to the Committee on Information and Communication for consideration and reports. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, can we take a short suspension for an hour so that we can go and get the committee reports?
Very well. Honourable members, we are taking a short suspension.
Everything is finished.
Accordingly, the House is suspended. Well, for 1 hour.
On a cool October day in 1945, Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer arrived at the White House in Washington, D.C. A 30-minute meeting had been scheduled with President Harry S. Truman. A meeting that could shape the course of history. That morning, Dr. Robert Oppenheimer was making an attempt to reason with the president. He had just led a team of scientists in developing and testing a weapon that helped bring about the end of the Second World War. Now he was desperate to prevent the world from destroying itself. After the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Oppenheimer had followed military developments with deep concern. He felt compelled to personally share his fears about this devastating new weapon with the American president. The events of October 25th, 1945 marked a turning point in history. But the story began years earlier with Hitler's invasion of Poland in 1939, which triggered the Second World War. As German forces advanced across Europe, European émigré physicists working in the United States learned that their counterparts in Berlin were experimenting with nuclear fission. Fearing its potential as a weapon, they approached Albert Einstein and persuaded him to collaborate in writing a letter warning President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The letter raised the alarm that Nazi Germany might be the first to develop an atomic bomb. In response, Roosevelt mobilized US resources to stay ahead. By executive order, he created the Manhattan Engineer District, placing atomic research at the center of the American war effort. To lead this unprecedented project, the Army appointed General Leslie Groves, a seasoned officer who had recently overseen construction of the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., a significant military achievement. Under Groves, the Manhattan Engineer District grew rapidly, employing 75,000 Americans. Its structure was compartmentalized to protect secrecy and maintain focus. Groves knew he needed a brilliant scientist, someone who could lead with vision, rally the nation's top minds, and drive progress at a record pace. After careful consideration, General Groves arrived at his decision.
I was completely responsible for the selection of Dr. Oppenheimer as the head of the Los Alamos Bomb Laboratory.
Dr. Oppenheimer already knew many of the top scientists and physicists of the era. He had the charisma, intellect, and leadership skills needed to unite them behind a single mission. When Groves and Oppenheimer met for the first time, their top priority was finding a remote location for a secret laboratory, where the scientists could live and work around the clock in complete isolation. Oppenheimer suggested a place in northern New Mexico where he had spent time with his family. He had hiked the hills, ridden horses through the terrain, and even leased a simple cabin there. He remembered a nearby ranch school set on a mesa. It seemed ideal. The two men drove out to see it. The old school grounds had solid infrastructure, access to water, and room for expansion. Groves turned to Oppenheimer and said, "This is it." The property was quickly secured for the government, and work began immediately on guardhouses and roads. Oppenheimer started assembling a team of top scientists, engineers, and experts from across the country. A laboratory was built, and structures began to rise almost overnight. Hundreds of workers and support staff arrived, The guardhouse soon became a hub of activity. Scientists came with their families. Among them was Oppenheimer's wife, Catherine, known as Kitty, who was his confidant and constant companion. Kitty welcomed new arrivals, organized social events, and became the de facto First Lady of Los Alamos. As research advanced, military planners began searching for a nearby location to test the world's first atomic bomb. The test site needed to be far from populated areas and inaccessible to the public. A location north of Alamogordo, New Mexico was selected. It lay in a desert known as the Jordana del Muerto, Spanish for Journey of the Dead. The area had already been secured by the military and used for bombing practice. Eyewitnesses later recalled that Oppenheimer played a key role in selecting the site. He reportedly slept under a truck during the search and seemed more at ease in the desert than many of his colleagues. Over time, a small base camp rose from the barren terrain. Oppenheimer named the site Trinity. Several buildings were constructed at the test location, including barracks and a canteen. There was even a pool table for the workers. When the bomb was finally ready for testing, a tall steel tower was built. The idea was to detonate the device above ground to better observe and measure its effects. By late April 1945, Allied forces had retaken most of Germany and were closing in on Berlin. Berlin soon fell, and the entire country came under Allied control. German soldiers surrendered, and many members of the Nazi regime were captured. American intelligence teams recovered a vast trove of secret military documents. After Germany's surrender, US intelligence agents rushed to the Peenemünde rocket facility, where Wernher von Braun had led the development of the German V-2 rocket. In a nearby cave, American troops discovered 14 tons of technical papers and hundreds of rocket components. But the agents uncovered an even greater secret: that the Germans, under von Braun's supervision, had been developing a rocket intended to strike New York City. Alongside tons of rocket components, technical drawings and documents, the American troops discovered that Dr. von Braun and his team of German scientists were working on the development of long-range weapons that might one day reach transatlantic targets. This research, they realized, could be of great benefit to the US military. The findings were quickly relayed to President Truman, who ordered all materials and the scientists to be secured and shipped to the United States without delay. The US military acted swiftly, transporting the rocket parts and equipment, technical documents, and more than 100 German scientists and their families, including Wernher von Braun, to the United States. The Pentagon decided the best location for this top-secret cargo was the New Mexico desert, near the atomic test site. Almost overnight, New Mexico became the focal point of global attention. It was now home not only to Los Alamos and the Trinity test site, but also the center of a newly planned rocket testing range. Although the Allies now controlled Germany and much of Europe, Japan continued to fight fiercely in the Pacific theater. In the weeks following Germany's surrender, a conference of Allied leaders was planned to address Europe's post-war administration and to coordinate the final stages of the war against Japan. The meeting was scheduled to begin on July 17, 1945 in Potsdam, and later became known as the Potsdam Conference. Truman's Secretary of War, Henry Stinson, who received daily updates on the Manhattan Project, was aware that the first atomic bomb test was imminent. Stimson requested that President Truman authorize an accelerated timeline for the test in the desert of New Mexico, so that its outcome could align with the opening of the Potsdam Conference. If the test proved successful, Truman could enter the conference with news of a powerful new weapon as leverage for his negotiations with the Allies. Truman agreed to the accelerated timeline and instructed General Groves to notify the Los Alamos scientists that the test must occur before the Potsdam meeting, meaning no later than July 16th. Dr. Oppenheimer called a meeting at Camp Lodge in Los Alamos. The scientist agreed that, with full cooperation across all departments, the test could be moved forward. Enriched plutonium was prepared in the Los Alamos lab ahead of the test. Under Oppenheimer's supervision, the plutonium was loaded onto military vehicles. It was then driven south through New Mexico, arriving hours later at the Trinity site, 340 kilometers away. With great care, the components were assembled at the test site. The plutonium core was inserted into the bomb, nicknamed the Gadget. Under Oppenheimer's watchful eye, the team completed the final assembly. In the tower above, men were prepared to lift the bomb using hoists. While those below worked the pulleys, the team at the top monitored the process using mirrors. Once the bomb reached the top, the floor was sealed and technicians wired and inspected the device to ensure the test could proceed as planned. Oppenheimer notified General Groves that the test was ready for July 16th. Groves relayed the news to President Truman, who was already at the conference in Potsdam. On the morning of the test, light rain and distant lightning threatened a delay, but the skies eventually cleared. At 5:29 a.m. on July 16th, 1945, the world's first atomic bomb was detonated in the New Mexico desert. The atomic age had begun. The United States now possessed a weapon capable of ending the war and compelling Japan to surrender. News of the successful test was sent immediately to President Truman in Potsdam via coded telegram. The message read, "Doctor has just returned, most enthusiastic and confident that the little boy is as husky as his big brother." A New York Times reporter who was part of the official observation group later described the moment as if he were present when God created the first light. General Groves recorded in his classified report that the bomb test was probably more important than the discovery of electricity. Back at the control room, the scientists reacted with a mix of awe and unease. One of them remarked, "We are probably now all sons of bitches." Cigarettes and beer were passed around in subdued celebration. The explosion had been audible from 160 kilometers away. To avoid public alarm, a press release was issued claiming that a munitions depot had accidentally exploded. Just hours after the successful test, the USS Indianapolis set sail from San Francisco, heading for the Pacific island of Tinian. On board were components and plutonium for a second bomb, intended for use against Japan. Meanwhile, with news of the test in hand, President Truman showed a noticeable shift in confidence at Potsdam. As the conference continued, all Allied leaders were briefed on the new weapon and its likely deployment in the Pacific theatre. Truman felt particularly strengthened in his interactions with Churchill and Stalin. By the end of the conference, all of the Allies had been informed about the new bomb and its imminent deployment in Japan.
I told Stalin about the atomic explosion, which had been set off on the 16th day of July down in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and explained to him that we had the most powerful explosive that had ever been discovered in the history of the world, and that we expected to use it on Japan. He smiled at me and bowed and said he was glad we had the explosive, and he hoped that it would end the Japanese war.
Back in New Mexico, Oppenheimer, General Groves, and the scientists visited the blast site. Their hard work had paid off. The experiment had worked. Oppenheimer returned to Los Alamos, exhausted but reflective. He began to consider the bomb's next use. Should there be a demonstration first? Should the Japanese be warned and urged to surrender? What would his colleagues think now that the theoretical had become real? The sight of the Los Alamos guardhouse was a welcome relief. He was home at last. Soon after returning, Oppenheimer convened a meeting of the scientific team to address the ethical concerns that had emerged. In the Oak Ridge and Chicago Manhattan project sites, many scientists signed a petition urging the president that Japan should first be given the opportunity to surrender and that the weapon should only be used as a last resort. More than 20 years later, Oppenheimer recalled what he and his colleagues thought at the time.
I think that it probably was assumed, it certainly was always assumed at Los Alamos, that if the war were not over and not clearly to be brought to a conclusion by diplomatic means, this weapon would play a part. I'm not sure that the men who sat around that room all had the same idea of what would happen with the bomb.
General Groves blocked the petition and the scientists' effort to reach Truman directly. The president then issued the order. The first atomic bomb would be dropped on Japan. By then, the Indianapolis had reached Tinian Island. The bomb, codenamed Little Boy, was carefully unloaded from the ship and transported to a hangar. On the eve of the mission, military technicians rolled the bomb out to the waiting aircraft. Tension spread among the crew. Rumours had circulated that this was the weapon that could end the war. After several hours of careful preparation, the bomb was loaded into the Boeing B-29 aircraft. Just before dawn, the Enola Gay took off for Hiroshima. A few hours later, on the morning of Monday, August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb ever used in warfare was dropped on Hiroshima. This is the only known authentic footage of the explosion. A blast that caused unprecedented devastation. Meanwhile, the final assembly of the second bomb on Tinian Island was nearing completion. A tactical and operational flight order detailed the timing, logistics, and other elements of the mission. Codenamed Fat Man, the bomb was similar in design to the Trinity device. On August 8th, it was carefully removed from the hangar and prepared for the mission. It was first painted with a sealant. Then it was armed and transported to the runway for loading. Once again, a B-29 bomber was carefully prepared and brought into position. It took off at dawn. On August 9th, 1945, the second atomic bomb was dropped over Nagasaki. The city had been chosen as a secondary target due to poor weather conditions. The Japanese military could offer only minimal resistance. Within a single month, 3 atomic bombs were detonated at Alamogordo, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki. The world was forever changed. The overwhelming destruction led to the expected surrender of Japan, bringing the Second World War to an end. Following the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Robert Oppenheimer and his fellow scientists came under growing scrutiny, facing difficult questions about the ethics and long-term implications of their work.
I remember that we first responded to the question, what do scientists think, by saying that they think a variety of things and this is only natural. On the one hand, they hoped this instrument would never be used in war, and therefore they hoped that we would not start out by using it. On the other hand, they hoped, or other people hoped, that it would put an end to this war, save countless lives, put an end to it.
It would have come out sooner or later in a congressional hearing, if nowhere else, just when we could have dropped the bomb if we didn't use it. And then, knowing American politics, you know as well as I do that there have been elections fought on the basis that every mother whose son was killed after such and such a date, the blood is on the head of the president.
The question was whether we wanted to save our people and Japanese as well and win the war, or whether we wanted to take a chance on being able to win the war by killing all our young men.
As peace returned, celebrations erupted across the United States. The war was over, and the American public welcomed victory with relief and pride. Dr. Robert Oppenheimer became a household name for his role in creating the atomic bomb and helping to end the war. Meanwhile, President Truman saw the weapon as a powerful tool to strengthen his position, both at home and on the global stage, and particularly vis-à-vis the Soviet Union. With encouragement from his military advisors, he began to pursue a strategy of expanding US military dominance through nuclear superiority. The bomb had changed not just warfare, but the direction of American military policy.
As the war was shaping up and they were seeing that, with almost certainty they were going to be able to make these bombs, my grandfather, in particular Niels Bohr's influence, started turning their thoughts towards, could this power of these weapons end all war? That's what they started thinking about. Not, are we going to make these bombs and then control these bombs themselves? But they saw that there was a change in humanity, the way humanity kind of relates to each other, because such powerful technology has been made that you could end humanity if you have a total war. And that was something that the scientists really started focusing on, and that also, furthermore, there was a way to control that. And the military side and the government and the political side was not caught up to that. They were kind of still thinking of these things like muskets or cannons. We have a weapon, let's make as many weapons as we can and we'll be more powerful, and that's good. But the scientists, in particular my grandfather Niels Bohr and some of the other scientists, thought that the significance of this particular type of technology is that we would have to work together in humanity in a new way, because if we didn't, it would inevitably end in an arms race and then using the weapons against each other and destroy everything. And turning towards that problem is what he did, while simultaneously finishing his duty and his work that he had to do, which was fight a war. He was in a war like everybody else.
Meanwhile, General Groves had received a top-secret memo from the US Army Air Force's headquarters. Dated September 15, 1945, the document laid out plans to begin immediate mass production of atomic weapons. This was in direct opposition to what Oppenheimer had hoped for. The memo identified the Soviet Union as the likely future adversary. An optimum strike, the memo continued, would target 66 cities of strategic importance, which would require 204 nuclear bombs, enough to destroy the country. By the fall of 1945, it was clear that the military wanted to rapidly expand its nuclear arsenal, and this message was passed directly to President Truman. At the same time, growing discontent was spreading among many scientists at Los Alamos, who had not expected such escalation. Dr. Oppenheimer, who presumably was aware of the memo and the planned production of 204 atomic bombs, was deeply concerned. Scientists at the lab urged him to take action and deliver their concerns directly to the Secretary of War and to the President. A recently uncovered memorandum describing a September 24, 1945 meeting reveals the mounting tension among those who had built the bomb. It noted, "There is a distinct opposition on their part to doing any more work on any bomb, not merely a super bomb, but any bomb." Oppenheimer asked George Harrison, assistant to the Secretary of War, to arrange a meeting with President Truman as soon as possible. He still believed that open dialogue between scientists, political leaders, and nations could help contain the role of nuclear weapons in future conflicts. When General Groves learned of the resistance at Los Alamos, he quickly moved to divide the scientists into two separate groups. One group would continue with non-military research. The other would work on new atomic weapons. To build 204 bombs, the military needed a larger facility that could operate around the clock. Los Alamos was no longer adequate. Plans were drawn up for a new base near Albuquerque called Sandia. There, bomb design and production would continue. Storage bunkers were included in the plans. In October 1945, two key military developments took place in New Mexico. The first was the departure of the 509th Composite Group, the same unit that had dropped the bombs, from Tinian Island for their new posting at Walker Army Air Base in Roswell. The base was designed to support B-29 bombers and prepare them for atomic missions. The Enola Gay, which had bombed Hiroshima, was part of this transfer. Colonel Patrick Henry Sanders was the assistant base commander. His daughter Susan still recalls the importance of the Roswell Air Base.
The importance of Roswell was it was the only nuclear strike force base in the world at the time. It was the place that had the nuclear bombs and was highly classified information that was going on between Los Alamos and Alamogordo and Fort Bliss and Roswell.
The second development was the arrival of the first German V-2 rockets at the newly established White Sands Proving Grounds, formerly the Alamogordo Bombing and Gunnery Range, where the first atomic bomb had been tested just 2 months earlier. A military report by General Hap Arnold urged the United States to pursue a nuclear-armed rocket program. The German technology was now in American hands. Oppenheimer learned of both events and saw the direction military policy was taking. The acceleration of nuclear weapons development deeply troubled him. He submitted his resignation as director of Los Alamos.